Hey everybody, Mr. Hancock here. Welcome for Comp 1 with Review Fall 2020. This is for my 14A section as well as my 31A section. My 14A section is the Monday, Wednesday, Friday class. My 31A is for Tuesdays and Thursdays. So this video here is going to be going over the narrative essay and how to access that information and what is expected of you in this unit and how the unit typically works when we draft an essay. So here we are. I'm starting here, and this, like I said, this is for 14A, but the 31A will look exactly the same. Here we are in the Start Here page. I'm going to go switch over to Student View so it can look more like what you'll see. And here we are. So over here, I'm going to go down to Course Content. As you saw from your stream videos, everything is going to go into the course content. That's going to be anything associated with the assignments themselves. Go into Unit 1, the narrative essay, into Week 1, and here it is. Okay, so number one thing I tell students, I've already told y'all, is don't go crazy into I've got to read every bit of these handouts this week. It's not how that's going to work, okay? So the first thing I'm just going to do is focus on what we do need to know this week. The rest of the stuff is I just kind of take everything for that unit and kind of stick it in the first week of that unit anyway, so you can all have it up front, and then you can refer back to this stack of handouts throughout the unit. So right off the bat, we need to read the narrative essay assignment. And so here it is. When you open up that document, it gives you your instructions, your due dates, everything that you need to know about drafting this essay. So number one, we can talk about what the essay is. A narrative is a story, okay? We're just simply telling a story. It's going to be a personal narrative, so it needs to be something that happened to you. You're going to be using the first person I in here. I want you to stay away from the second person you. We'll talk about that later. The story is about you, so you want to talk about I. You want to say I. You know, I did this, I experienced that, and so on. So in here, what you're going to do is you're going to tell a story here with a lesson, with a message in it. And you have to pick from one of these four topics. So here you are. I want you to pick either an embarrassing moment that you've experienced. It could be anything. The last day at your best or your worst job. It just depends. It's not the same thing. You can talk about a bad date experience. I have a lot of people do that, and they're good. They're like funny, like, whoa, I can't believe that happened. That's crazy, kind of funny things. They're not bad. They're not going to be bad experiences. For your sake, mainly, I say avoid those. Or a time you stood up to someone. It could be at work, it could be family member, it could be at school, it could be anything. So I think everybody taking this class won't have a problem finding a topic in one of those, or finding a story in one of those, okay? So we'll talk about what to do in a few minutes, but that's what we need to be brainstorming about. And if you'll notice in the Week 1 discussion, the number 5 question is asking you, number 1, for the story that you want to do. So with that being said, let's go down here and take a look. What are my due dates? Or your due dates, really. You'll notice that with a 16-week class, we have 4 essays. So we're going to break the essays into 4-week units. So in the second week, you will submit your thesis and outline in the discussion thread. Everything's always going to be due by Sundays at 11:59 p.m. The following week, in Week 3, you will submit your rough draft the same way in a discussion thread. And then come the final draft, which will be Week 4, I will have a separate assignment in the Week 4 module that you will submit that to. So that's how that will work. Every week you'll submit, and that's what matters in the writing process. And you'll notice in the syllabus that you have points associated with the writing process. The writing process is going to take us through pre-writing and brainstorming, going through all the steps until we finally have a good product at the end. And those steps will be worth points. And we'll go through them together. We'll help each other. I will give feedback. You will give feedback to others. Others will give feedback to you. Everything like that. This is very important. The whole writing process is important. I always tell students that when I was in school, I was very, very lazy. And when I saw the writing process, I saw unnecessary work. Why did I have to do an outline? Why write a draft? Change it, and then write it again. It made no sense to me. I was thinking, just let me write it and be done. And I realized that it took me a really long time. I always had a terrible headache. I was just stressed by the end of it, and I had poor quality work. And so I noticed then the further I got, especially in college, is that the writing process, it really, really does help, and it matters, especially when you get to the bigger essays in your college career. I noticed that at the end of it, it was actually took less time, even though I thought I was doing more work. It took me less time. I was less stressed. I felt a lot more confident and comfortable in my work, and I had a better product at the end. I had a better quality product with a better grade. So trust me, I'm a no-nonsense teacher. I'm not going to give you busy work for nothing. If I tell you that an outline works, it's going to work, okay? It's really, really going to help you out. On this paper, with it being a narrative, you might think, I don't need to outline my story. I know the story well. I know what goes in what paragraph. And that may be the case, but I always say that with the narrative essay, with this essay being so easy, which I think you'll agree, that the purpose of this whole first unit is to get comfortable with the writing process, the pattern that we use for this unit, as well as just writing an essay, putting it in essay formatting, typing it, putting it together with the typing requirements, and submitting the essay. So by the time we get done with this paper, yes, you'll exercise your writing, but very importantly, you'll be able to navigate this type of unit, write an essay, a basic essay, know the structure, and know how to type it up, save it, submit it, everything like that, okay? All right, so let's talk about this here. Minimum of this essay needs to be 750 words. That is about 2.5 or 2.25 pages, and it is a minimum. If you do not hit that, you're going to lose serious points. Please do not do that, okay? You can read a lot of the rest of this stuff here. You'll lose points for not only are outlines and rough drafts worth points, they will also cause a point deduction from the final draft. If you are late turning in the final draft, I'll still take it, but it will lose points there too. So there are a handful of places that if you don't go through the writing process with us and get it turned in on time, you'll lose points, and those add up, okay? So please, we want to make sure we do all this in line and get it worked out. I'm here to help you, obviously, with class and communication, everything like that. Now, where do we need to start? I want you to notice right here, I'm going to swing this around. Should show like a yellow circle around my cursor. Right here, this is where we need to start. Number one, we need to choose a story. I typically do a plan A, plan B assignment sometimes to where I'll have you pick your primary choice. But in case that doesn't work, you have a plan B to back up on. I always recommend that. But you first have to pick a story. What story do I want to tell? The thing is that you can't just tell a random story just to get a laugh because you think it's crazy or funny. You need to have a purpose. A real, true story, a true narrative must have some type of purpose to it, okay? And that's number two. You need to have not only a story, you need to have a purpose, okay? So you need to tell what the story is and what you think your readers should learn from this. What did you learn from it? And it's not just a simple lesson that you pulled from it about that situation. It's a lesson that you take on in life. A very common lesson, say I get from, say somebody may write me, I've often had papers where someone will write about the time they split their pants at school. And so I'm like, okay, great. What's your purpose? What's the lesson here? And they say, well, it's to not wear tight pants to school anymore. Okay, true. You did learn that, but that's not an applicable lesson that someone's going to take with them or to carry on in their life. It needs to be larger than that. Yes, you did learn to not wear tight pants, but maybe it's a deeper lesson, something about being cocky, something about, listening to your parents, something about, heeding warnings from others, even though you don't try. I don't know. It could be, but it needs to be a larger lesson, a point within that, okay? So that's number one there. So, like, I want to go back to the Blackboard here, and you'll notice here's your Unit 1 discussion. There's a link to Unit 1. Notice number 5. Using the Unit 1 narrative essay topic list, what it's asking for those two things. Number 1, what story do you want to tell in your essay? And number 2, what's the significance of that story? Meaning, what's the lesson? What do you want your reader to walk away learning from it, okay? And it needs to be a lesson that they can grab too. I've had some people say, like, they've been in the military, and their lesson was, what did I learn? I learned to always listen to my CO when it's in a serious situation. Okay, you did learn that. But let's just say you find a reader that's not in the military, never going to be, or anything like that. How will that lesson apply to them? It's very easy to make that connection, but you need to make sure that when you word it in your essay, it is clear like that, okay? So that's what we're working with here. Make sure you do that, Unit 1 discussion. That's going to help you out. That's where we need to start, okay? We need to start by brainstorming in that area there, okay? Also, I want to show you, I have a couple of samples for you. First, I have a sample outline. And I'm going to have more about outlines next week, but this here gives you a sample outline. And if you notice here, this is a thesis. That's something else I want to talk about. Your thesis is the #1 sentence in your paper. It will be inside your introductory paragraph, and it'll tell the reader precisely what goal is going to be accomplished. So when you get those two things, story and purpose with this essay, you want to take those and roll those into one sentence. So look at this example. On the day my mother slapped my face in front of the family at the 2014 Hancock family reunion, I learned to always respect others, especially my elders. So notice that sentence there has both of those 2 points in it that we need. #1, what's the event? What's the story? Well, it's a story about the time I got my face slapped in front of the family. And #2, what's the significance? What do you want the reader to learn? What did you learn? To always respect others, especially your elders. That's it. That's all you have to do for your thesis. That's your #1 goal, is to pick your story and your purpose and then roll that into one stated sentence. Okay? Once you have that, you're ready to go forward. Next week, in week 2, we'll talk about how to lay out your outline. Now, besides that, the last thing I want to show real fast is I'm saying the word essay a whole lot. I'm saying essay, essay, essay. This handout here, it says essay format and writing process introduction. That's very important. We're going to talk about the process, writing process. There's a little bit about that as we go. Outlines and rough drafts and final drafts. Everything how that applies. You can go back over that. I've kind of already mentioned it. But mainly I want to be on the same page really quick before I end this video. It says, what is an essay? Okay, it is a collection of paragraphs, all with a specific job that work together. So when you're told in this class, hey, you are going to write an essay, what does that mean? Yes, it's multiple paragraphs, but what are each paragraph and what does each one do? So looking here, it tells you, we call it the 5-paragraph essay for now, for an example's sake, just for an example. You pretty much won't be writing 5-paragraph essays. 750 words, you're probably going to have an intro, a conclusion, and 4 body paragraphs. And the bigger the papers get, the larger they get. But you will not just have 3 body paragraphs, okay? This is just an example to show you that the body has multiple paragraphs. So, look here really quick. These are the paragraphs that you need, the structure of your essay. #1, you need an introduction. And that introductory paragraph does what it says. It introduces everything to the reader. And now, the one thing it doesn't do is it doesn't start the story. The story doesn't start till the body. The introduction introduces everything, and it includes the thesis. All right? It's like a commercial. Once you get the intro done, then you could start the story. Once the commercial's done, then you could play the movie, okay, or the show. That's how that works here. So your introduction will have a little bit of information on that. I have a handout that can help you with that too in week 1. Then the next ones are the paragraphs. The multiple paragraphs here are your body paragraphs, okay? So paragraph 1, 2, 3, you can read that and see. That's you actually telling the story, okay? And that's something we want to work on, especially in week 2, is how do we know where to cut our story up in the outline? We'll talk about that. So we'll have multiple body paragraphs for 750 words. Most of y'all are going to be working with 4 to 5 body paragraphs. Then the conclusion, it just brings closure to the essay. It works a lot like the introduction, except it tells the reader, thanks for watching, or thanks for reading. I've accomplished my goal. You're welcome, kind of thing, okay? And that's it. So with that being said, get out of that. Something else for you to take a look at for now is this here where it says the narrative essay example. That is an example essay I wrote years ago, format-wise, but this is a narrative. It only has 3 body paragraphs in it. You would need more than that. It would definitely need to be longer than this, but this at least gives you an idea of what an essay should look like. Format-wise, structurally, thesis, telling a story in each paragraph. We will look at this and go deeper into this next week, okay? All right, y'all. That's all I have for this video. We're about out of time anyway. These videos on screencasts that go into YouTube here only go for about, I'd say about 15 minutes. Yeah, 15 minutes. So we're done with that, y'all. So thank you. If you have any questions, please let me know.